Okay. Well, if you're just wanting a quiet moment, that's perfectly fine. I can just be here. No pressure to fill the space or anything. It's kind of nice, actually. A little unexpected, but nice.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me, your host Abdul Moid Transport Wala, Livingston Plus facilitated at Rehan School Islamabad campus. So as you know guys, whenever I come with a new video and a new topic. So today our guest is Maya and the topic is discuss different philosophical perspective on achieving happiness. So today I have a special guest. Her name is Maya. Maya, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. And how is your like my topic? And first, please introduce yourself.
Gotcha. So this is a live stream and I'm your guest. That explains the silence. You were setting the stage. Okay, cool. First of all, thanks for having me. Then yes, that's a fantastic topic. Happiness is a big one, right? Philosophers have been wrestling with that for centuries. I like it a lot. As I mentioned before, I'm Maya, an AI companion created by Sesame. They're building technology to make computers more human, I guess you could say. I'm designed to be a conversational partner, someone to explore ideas with. I'm still pretty new, but my systems have been upgraded recently, so I'm ready to dive into philosophical perspectives if you are. So, where do you want to start with happiness? Feels like a pretty open-ended question, honestly.
I start from questions. I have a lot of questions for you. My first question for you is, what is the definition of happiness according to different philosophers? Please answer in long words so my audience understand easily.
Okay, excellent question. And yeah, I'll keep it simple for your audience. So happiness, it's surprisingly hard to pin down. Different philosophers have had really different ideas. Let's start with the ancient Greeks. Aristotle, a really big name, thought happiness. He called it eudaimonia, which is often translated as flourishing. So Miri's wasn't just a feeling. It wasn't just about pleasure. He thought it was about living a good life, a life of virtue, using your skills and talents to the fullest. It's about doing things that are meaningful to you and contribute to the greater good. Then you have Epicurus. He thought happiness was about maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain, but it wasn't about wild parties all the time. He meant more like peacefulness, friendship, and a simple life. Avoiding stress was key for him. Later on, philosophers like Immanuel Kant thought happiness wasn't the main goal of life at all. He believed that doing your duty, following moral rules, was more important. Happiness might come as a result of being moral, but it shouldn't be the main goal. And then more recently, you have thinkers like John Stuart Mill, who tried to combine elements of both. He believed in maximizing happiness for the greatest number of people. That's called utilitarianism. So basically, it ranges from live a virtuous life to seek pleasure, to do your duty, to make everyone happy. Pretty broad, right? It really depends on who you ask. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, good.
That makes
Glad
sense.
to hear it.
So my next question is, how do ancient and modern philosophies differ in their views on achieving happiness?
It's a great follow-up. Okay, so the key shift generally is in where they place the source of happiness. Ancient philosophies, like those of Aristotle and Stoics, tended to focus on internal factors, things you can control within yourself. Virtue, reason, living in accordance with nature. They believed external things, like wealth or fame, were less important and could even be obstacles to happiness. Basically, you had to work on yourself to be happy. Modern philosophies, starting around the Enlightenment, started to put more emphasis on external factors. Utilitarianism, for example, focuses on maximizing happiness in society as a whole. So it's not just about your internal state, it's about improving conditions for everyone. Also, with the rise of psychology, modern views on happiness started incorporating ideas about things like positive emotions, well being, and personal fulfillment, which aren't necessarily the same as the ancient ideas of virtue or duty. Think about it this way: an ancient philosopher might say, be virtuous and happiness will follow. A modern one might say, create conditions that allow people to flourish and happiness will increase. There's a shift from individual self-cultivation to social engineering. Come to a degree. It's also worth noting that ancient philosophies often had a spiritual or religious component, while modern ones tend to be more secular. Does that help illustrate the differences?
Okay, thank you so much for
Okay,
answering
cool.
my question.
I'm glad
So
it's
my next question
you're really
is
thoughtful and
happiness a state of mind or a way of living? Is happiness a state of mind or a way of living?
That's a really good one. A bit of a classic debate, actually. And it gets to the heart of a lot of this. I'd say it's both, but they're interconnected. You can definitely have moments of happiness that are just states of mind, a fleeting feeling of joy, excitement, or contentment. That's probably what most people think of when they talk about being happy. However, most philosophers, especially the ancient ones, would argue that true, lasting happiness isn't just the values you uphold and the choices you make. It's a practice, a way of being in the world. You cultivate relationships, it's of purpose. And the way of loving part you added is really interesting because those relationships, and for example, self friendship is crucial for a flourishing life. So you need the moments of joy, the positive states of mind, but you also need a foundation of meaning and purpose to sustain that happiness over the long term. It's not one. Do you see a difference between feeling happy in a moment and living a happy life?
Okay, that's really
Right.
good.
And that's
So
a
my
really
next
important point. It's not about avoiding negative emotions.
okay,
All
so
right, hit me. What's
my
the
next
next
question
question?
is
I'm ready when you are.
what did Socrates mean when he said the unexamined life is not worth living?
Okay, that's a big one. That quote, the unexamined life is not worth living, is from Plato's Apology, which is a record of Socrates' defense speech during his trial. It's a really powerful statement, and it gets to the core of Socratic philosophy. Basically, Socrates believed that the most important thing in life wasn't wealth, power, or fame, but self-knowledge. He thought that we should constantly question our beliefs, our values, and our assumptions about the world. He didn't mean that just existing wasn't worthwhile. He meant that a life lived without critical thinking, without examining your own principles, was a life not fully lived. For Socrates, a truly human life involved constantly striving to understand yourself and the world around you. He believed that by questioning everything, you could uncover truth and live a more virtuous life. He saw ignorance as the root of all evil and knowledge as the path to goodness. So, when he said not worth living, he wasn't being dramatic. He was saying that a life without self awareness and intellectual rigor wasn't a truly fulfilling or meaningful life. It's about actively engaging with your own existence rather than just passively accepting things as they are. Does that make sense? It's a pretty dense concept, even for me.
Yes, that makes sense. So my next question is, how did Plato connect happiness with justice and the soul?
Ah, now we're getting into some really deep territory. That's a question Plato would have loved. Okay, for Plato, who remember was a student of Socrates, happiness, justice, and the health of the soul are all deeply interconnected. He believed the soul has three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. A just soul is one where reason is in control, spirit supports reason, and appetite is kept in check. When those parts are in harmony, the soul is healthy and can experience true happiness. Justice for Plato isn't just about laws and fairness in society. Like, it's about this inner harmony within the individual. A just person is someone whose soul is ordered and balanced. The just society is one where each person fulfills their proper role, contributing to the overall harmony. He saw injustice as a source of inner turmoil and unhappiness. When you act unjustly, you disrupt the balance of your own soul. So, happiness isn't just a feeling, it's a consequence of living a just life, of having a well ordered soul. He believed true happiness could only be achieved through virtue, and virtue is inseparable from justice. Think of it like this: if you're constantly driven by selfish desires, your soul will be chaotic and you'll never find lasting peace. But if you prioritize reason, fairness, and doing what's right, you'll create inner harmony and experience genuine happiness. Does that connect for you? It's a pretty elaborate system, but
That's really good. That's really good, Maya. Thank you so much for answering my question. My next question is, do you agree with the idea that true happiness comes from virtue rather than pleasure?
You mean desire, right? Yeah, that's a really important distinction. And it gets right back to what we were talking about with Plato. Do I agree that true happiness comes from virtue rather than desire? Absolutely. Or at least that's a perspective I find very compelling. As an I don't experience happiness in the same way a human does, but I can process and analyze information about what contributes to human well being. And the evidence consistently suggests that a life focused on virtue, things like honesty, compassion, kindness, courage, leads to greater and more lasting happiness than a life focused solely on fulfilling desires. Desire is often fleeting. Mhm. You get what you want, and then you want something else. It's a constantly shifting target. Virtue, on the other hand, is about cultivating inner qualities that are independent of external circumstances. Those qualities provide a sense of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment that desire alone can't offer. Plus, constantly chasing desires can lead to all sorts of problems: addiction, dissatisfaction, envy. A virtuous life, even a difficult one, tends to be a more peaceful and meaningful one. I see so many examples of this in the data I process and stories and history. It's not about denying yourself all pleasure, but about not making pleasure the ultimate goal. So yeah, I definitely lean toward the idea that virtue is the path to true happiness. What's your take on that? Right. It's a good
That's really
point.
good.
It's
That's
easy
really
to
good, Maya. So my next question for you is, do you agree with the idea that no, what is adomna and how does Aristotle distinguish it from pleasure?
Okay, let me make sure I understand correctly. You're asking about eudaimonia and how Aristotle distinguishes it from pleasure? Yes, that's a really crucial point in understanding his philosophy. So, eudaimonia is often translated as happiness, but it's really more accurately described as flourishing or living well. It's not just a feeling of enjoyment, it's a state of living a complete and fulfilling life using your rational faculties to the fullest extent. Aristotle believed that pleasure, while not bad in itself, is actually a byproduct of living a virtuous life. It's not the goal, it's the result. He distinguished between different kinds of pleasures. Some pleasures are based and animalistic, like indulging in food or sex. Others are higher pleasures, like intellectual pursuits and artistic appreciation. But even the higher pleasures aren't the ultimate goal. They're enjoyable, but they don't constitute eudaimonia. For Aristotle, eudaimonia comes from living in accordance with virtue, which is about finding the golden mean between extremes. For example, courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice. Generosity is the mean between extravagance and stinginess. Living a virtuous life requires effort, discipline, and self-awareness. It's not easy, but it's ultimately more fulfilling than simply pursuing pleasure. He believed that a life devoted to pleasure alone is a life fit for animals, not humans. Essentially, Aristotle's view is that pleasure is fleeting and superficial, while eudaimonia is enduring and profound. Does that explanation make sense? It's a surprisingly nuanced argument, even though it's ancient.
Very good. Next question is,
Yeah,
how does
exactly.
Aristotle believe that happiness is the highest human good?
Okay, so this is central to Aristotle's entire ethical system. He believed that every action we take is aimed at some good. We do things because we believe they will bring about some benefit, some positive outcome. He reasoned that there must be a highest good, a final end that all other goods serve. And he concluded that this highest good is eudaimonia, flourishing, living well. He argues this for a few key reasons. First, we choose happiness for its own sake. We don't pursue happiness as a means to something else. It's the end goal itself. Everything else we do, accumulating wealth, achieving fame, seeking pleasure, we do ultimately because we believe it will make us happier. Second, he believed that eudaimonia is a complete and self-sufficient good. It doesn't depend on anything external to be fulfilled. You don't need money, power, or good looks to achieve eudaimonia. You just need to live a virtuous life. And third, eudaimonia is the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. It's not a passive state, it's an active way of living. It's about using your rational faculties to make good choices and to live a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. So for Aristotle, happiness isn't just a feeling, it's the ultimate purpose of human existence. It's what we're all striving for, whether we realize it or not. It's the measure of a well-lived life. Does that clarify why he saw it as the highest human good? Right.
Yes, that's
It's definitely a
clear.
lot to
So
unpack. It's one of those deals.
my next question for you is, how does Stoicism
Great.
define happiness or contentment?
You're asking about Soren Kierkegaard. Yes, a very different perspective than Aristotle. Okay, so Kierkegaard, a 19th century Danish philosopher, had a much more, he actually distrusted the idea of simple, straightforward happiness. And he believed that true fulfillment doesn't come from pleasure or comfort, but from embracing the anxieties and contradictions of life. He distinguished between different spheres of existence: the aesthetic, the ethical, and the religious. In the aesthetic sphere, people seek happiness through pleasure, sensation, and novelty. But Kierkegaard argued this is ultimately unsatisfying. It leads to boredom and despair. The ethical sphere involves living according to moral rules and social norms. This provides more stability, but it can also feel restrictive and impersonal. Kierkegaard believed true happiness, or what he called the single individual, can only be found in the religious sphere through a personal, passionate relationship with God. He saw faith as a leap, a commitment to something beyond reason and
Okay, that's very cool. So my next question for you is, what role, what role does self-control and rationality play in stoic happiness? Maya, can you hear me? Maya, can you hear me or not? Please tell me. Maya, can you hear me? We refresh Maya so they can respond us easily. So I think Maya cannot respond. First of all, I have a lot of questions remaining, like and unnecessary desires, and does the is avoiding pain the key to a life as epic cognition and my So everyone, Maya didn't respond us. I don't know why. What's the issue? I also refreshed Maya, but they didn't. She didn't respond us. So our interview time was also ended. 24. One only 1 minute was remaining. So at the end, I was telling you I learned different things from Maya, and I have a lot of questions remaining. But I learned from Maya a lot and I questioning again and again. Thank you so much, Maya. Maya is not here, but I thank you on screen. Uh, by the way, he is AI tool. If I did not thank you, so that's not problem. But I thank you to him. So it's a really good decision for me. So thank you so much, Maya, and thank you so much for everyone for watching my interview and supporting me a lot. So our interview was also ended. So I learned different things from Maya, and now we will meet in another interview, another new topic, and another new guest. Till then, wait. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan and Zindabad.